right, y'all. So let's move to the final conversation today. So Kirk Franklin has a new, I guess, podcast called Den of Kings. And one of my family friends and someone who also worked for Jay Barnett was on the podcast. And it was a clip of NLE Choppa giving his stance on his beliefs, spirituality, and then Jonathan Majors' response. Now, I want to have a healthy conversation about this because it was some things that I noticed that I feel like most people saw, but there's other things I feel like most people didn't catch. Now, of course, it won't be the whole episode because I didn't watch the full thing yet, but I saw from other little clips that people were so fixated on that, but there were so many other ones that were really good. But we about to watch this clip real quick and speak on it.
Religious trauma. We're dealing with a lot at this table is because we have had people make us feel bad.
It's a thing where you have us here as people, you have God, and then this is what happened. You gotta go through all these different things to get primarily the source. You know what I have a problem with? One of the things I have a problem with, and it may be controversial. A lot of people may say this and may say that. I don't like, let me say it in a manner. But going to church isn't the solution, man. Christianity, it's a thing where people praise the Son more than they praise the Father. And that's what I don't like. Because if we are man made in a likeness, Jesus is our brother. Why would I drop down and praise my brother instead of praising my Father?
Have you read the Bible?
I read the Bible, I listen to the Bible.
I would say read it again.
So one thing about me is I'm all for healthy conversation, even if we can agree to disagree. So they were having a healthy conversation. It was no name calling. It was no disrespect. It was just, to me, him having genuine questions as a YN. We can consider him a YN. And trying to understand it because he doesn't get it. And from his breakdown, I understand where he's coming from because I'm a believer, right? But what I can say is Jonathan Majors, some people either loved or hated his response. I think that I get where one thing is kind of like from a person on NLE's side, it looks like damn, you kind of being dismissive. Like you just saying, well, just read, you ain't trying hard enough. But then I get from the other angle, as someone which people even were saying in the comments when they were kind of like, well, as someone who like me, like when I first started reading the Bible and it was like I didn't get it. But the more I grew with God and been rereading it, it's like things that jump out to me that didn't jump out before, and I'm getting a better understanding of things. So from that angle, I get what he was trying to say, but it was one of those. And not saying that I don't believe Jonathan Majors was doing that, but I could see people feeling like he was trying to sun him, like just read it again. You ain't trying hard enough. And that doesn't help with people like that, because if you're really trying to, and again, it's off the cliff, but it can just look away, and it can make somebody who is trying to understand just kind of be like, forget it.
Yeah.
So what's your take on the clip, and what's your stance on everything?
Yeah, that can come off as very dismissive. I wish Jonathan Majors would have followed it up with, well, if you have read the Bible, then you would know X, Y, and Z, or you know what I mean? Like, instead of just leaving it at a blank statement, because a lot of times that's the problem, especially when you're trying to reach Black men, especially. Like, sometimes we need examples, or we need a more in-depth answer, right? So we can fully understand and comprehend. Just saying that, yeah, it does come off as kind of dismissive. And listen, I take a different stance on the Bible and Jesus Christ, and because I know the history of it within this country. And just knowing the history, and this is not controversial anymore, because I think we should all know this, that the Bible has been rewritten throughout. We don't fully know the full extent of the truth. Let's just call it what it is, right? And that's no disrespect or anything like that. It's just, that's a fact. If this happened so long ago, as we say, history, and we know how history has been. So same thing with the Bible, right? A lot of people like myself believe Jesus Christ was a black man, unlike what is portrayed, right? Just off the break, then you want me to read something that, again, has been changed throughout history, right? But you got, Bibles being printed here in America. Like, I want the truth from, that's where it happened. That's where the truth is, right? To me, I've been to church, right? I've heard, pastors, and for me, it was very theatrical, right? It just seemed like they were giving their word, not so much God's word, right? So I try to connect directly with God, period. And I talk and pray to God every day, right? I talk to him, right? I'm a person that, I talk to myself sometimes, but I'm in that regard, I'm talking to God and asking him what's going on with me, help me, thank you for this, thank you for that. Hey, why the hell did this happen? Like what, and that's my dynamic, my relationship with God. I don't, I couldn't never see myself doing that with a pastor, solely because, again, there's been there's been evidence and proof. Not all pastors, but a lot of them, have their own agendas, and not, solely as God being the main one. And so, it's a double edged. So for him to just say, read the Bible again, like, oh, he was, asking a very sincere question. Like, you can tell he felt what he was saying, right? Like, like, I struggle with this. And that's a lot of young black men, especially even black men like myself who are getting older, right? But it's, that's a tough conversation, the spiritual, the religion, right? Like, I definitely would say connect with your spirit. Because we all know, right? Like, as somebody like a KRS-One has pointed out, our body is just it's the spirit, right? That's why you get deja vu. That's why we talk about these kids. Oh, you've been here before, because at 1 month old, they dapping you up or blah, 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 whatever, right? The spirit is is what gets passed on through, the body's just, that's why, if you bury it, it dies, so just connect with your spirit, I would say, more so than, and you could be religious. I'm not saying, believe what you believe, but at the end of the day, it's about your spirit and your connection with God, period. That's what I was, because I mean, what happens if, there's no more pastors tomorrow? Everybody, what, you gonna freak out and now what, you gonna have an excuse not to have a connection with God?
Always remember, keep your head up like your neck hurt. Remember who you are. Make your mind up. Don't let it make you. And always remember, I love us.